Hey guys, it's me, Holly Madison. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing my reaction series to Girls Next Door, and we are starting with season 3 today. Can't believe I made it this far. If you'd hit the like and subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And we are gonna start off with our very first Christmas episode, which I love Christmas, so I was so excited to get to do this episode. E never wanted to do a Christmas episode before because they felt like the episodes didn't have like rerun value. Like they didn't feel like they could keep showing them throughout the rest of the year, which makes sense, but I was still really excited to do a Christmas episode. And I was looking at the next 4 episodes, seeing which ones I would be reviewing this month. And I'm just really excited about them because they're finally episodes that are about topics I'm interested in. There's a Christmas one. There's my birthday episode. I finally get a birthday episode after 3 seasons. There's a Star Wars themed episode. And there's the episode where I first start working at the Playboy studio. So I'm very excited. So let's get started. So they're showing us all getting on a party bus at the start of this episode. And we are going to drive around and look at Christmas lights, which was a fun, cute little outing. And I remember we stopped at McDonald's that day, which seemed like a treat. I'm a McDonald's connoisseur, I'm sorry. This place we went was somewhere in the valley, I think Tarzana, because I remember we stopped at a Tarzana McDonald's because they had a whole like history of Tarzana plaque on the wall. And it's called Candy Cane Lane. It's probably still poppin'. We're talking about New Year's resolutions, and I say my resolution is to redecorate the gym, which that's more of like a goal and not really so much a resolution, but. So we're starting off showing the mansion all decorated for Christmas. The staff is putting candy canes all the way up the driveway. You see the Great Hall all decked out. The Christmas tree, which I decorated. The Christmas tree used to just have like wooden ornaments on it, the one they had in the living room. And the reason was because Hef's wife from back in the 90s was a big like animal rescue person. She would have a lot of dogs and she didn't want like glass ornaments in the living room. But by the time I was living there, there was usually like one of those dog gates set up at the entrance to the living room just so dogs couldn't get in there and like pee on the carpet and stuff. So I asked if I could change over the tree because I love decorating for Christmas and I wanted a tree to decorate. And somehow I talked him into it, which I don't know how I managed to do that because he loves being stuck in his ways. And it was funny because his requirement was like, there needs to be one piece of tinsel on every branch of the tree. And that's a formidable task if you have a full tree. So I didn't do that. I did some tinsel, but instead I compensated with like glass ornaments that had glitter on it, and the bows on the tree all had glitter worked into the fabric. So it gave the effect of all that tinsel, and he was fooled. Whew. Because that just would have been a lot of tinseling every year. But I went for a very classic look. I went for like red, blue, green, and gold were the colors because that kind of worked with the living room and just was like a classic old-fashioned Christmas tree look. And I put like fake gifts underneath it and like a vintage Monopoly board because I wanted it to look very like 1930s, which was like Hef's actual childhood. And there's like a train that went around it. It was cute. I loved it. I loved the Christmas tree. And I also did like a whole Disney village on top of the piano. I had like, they used to call them big figs, big figures. They would sell like a Splash Mountain figure that was like this big. So I built a whole Disneyland out of that. I don't have all the pieces anymore. I didn't do it when my kids were super little because I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work and I don't think they'd appreciate it yet. But I did keep like the Toontown set and the Main Street set because those were the only actual Christmas Village sets that like went together. Everything else I kind of like cobbled together with like big figures and stuff. And some of them, like the castle got broken when I put it in storage. So that thing kind of fell apart, but it was glorious while it lasted. Maybe I'll do it again someday. I don't know. Imagine going on eBay and paying like exorbitant prices for all the big figs that I got rid of. I had a Tinkerbell tree topper, and Tinkerbell was in this very cute like red version of her dress with like a white furry Santa lining. And she was just like very cute and flirty. She was just like very cute and flirty looking, couldn't say that, perched on top of the tree, and like all the men loved her. They thought she was the cutest thing because she was. Bridget always had a candy tree in her room, and I think she still does the same tree. She had like these cute little gingerbread dolls underneath it, and just everything on her tree was candy, and she had that in her room. And it shows this bear that's sitting on the bench in the Great Hall by the door. And it was this animated bear whose head kind of rolled like this, just like a traditional looking teddy bear, but this was him. And it was kind of creepy. Oh, here you can see my Disneyland village. I miss it. I kind of want to do it again. It was really cute. And then the gingerbread house was a big gingerbread house that the staff made for me. And I tried to decorate it to look like the mansion, but it was kind of a fail because I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to make gray frosting. Because if you put just like a few drops of black food coloring in white frosting, you'd think that would make gray, but it always turns purple. It was kind of bootleg looking. It was one of those things where like it was cute for the time, but these days, now that we're able to like see everything aesthetic on Instagram every day of our lives, it looks bootleg. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing like the younger generation will never understand is how much less aesthetic everything was pre like 2014 when Instagram really like grabbed hold of everyone. I'm still really into gingerbread houses. I made one for my boyfriend this year because he loves the smell of gingerbread. I need a place in Vegas to start making the pro gingerbread houses, like the bakery in Solvang, California that does all the Kardashian gingerbread houses. Like somebody in Vegas needs to do that pronto. It would be like the new Summerlin mom rich thing to like buy personalized gingerbread houses and send them to your friends. Somebody needs to jump on that business opportunity. For those who don't know, Summerlin is like the nicest portion of Las Vegas. So when I say Summerlin mom, that means like rich mom. I need Tinks. Do you know Tinks on TikTok? She has like her rich mom series. She needs to do Summerlin moms. I don't know if she's very familiar with Vegas or would really know what a Summerlin mom is like, but I think she needs to do it. And I have these little Monopoly figures of Hef and the bunnies that I put out front of the gingerbread house to like symbolize us. And then I found like a sporty cake topper that was Kendra. And if I remember correctly, I had the bunny Monopoly pieces made for Hef as a gift because he had a custom Monopoly set from when he was really into Monopoly in the 70s, because I guess he went through a Monopoly phase. And we would play Monopoly every once in a while. For a while, it was a weekly thing. And he had a set of custom Monopoly pieces that his girlfriend back in the day had made him. There was one of him and the girl and a couple of his close friends. So I made a couple of bunnies to go along with that. So Bridget and I could have plain pieces. And I think there were a few extra ones. This is before Kendra came along. I think there was like a bunny with a pink costume, a bunny with a black costume, and then a blue one. I could be wrong though. And Crystal Camden usually played with the blue one. You guys, editing is going to be hell for me because I was just filming on my phone and I put my phone the opposite way in the ring light accidentally. So I was looking over here. No, the camera was over here, but it's usually over here. And I was like, I need to switch this around. So I switched it around without turning the camera off. And then I looked to make sure I was still filming to see the time go. And the whole thing was upside down. So like, I'm gonna have to flip that. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I've talked so long just about Christmas decorations. I hope you're not bored. I should have saved this for Christmas, but I need to do these episodes in order. Maybe E had a point about Christmas episodes being weird. This should have been a special. It should have been a Girls Next Door Christmas special. That way I just could have done it for Christmas and they could have just shown it on Christmas and I don't know. Nobody was thinking about it. Oh my God, and I found a little toy, a black toy dog that was supposed to be one of the dogs that lived at the mansion, one of the house dogs named Littlefoot. But that toy really looks like Littlefoot and it wasn't like custom made or anything. I'm just like amazed looking back at it, how much it looks like Littlefoot. So it's showing Bridget wrapping Christmas presents and getting ready for Christmas. And she's holding up this blanket and it's one of those blankets that you can have like made and it's a picture, like you send in a picture and they weave it to look like that picture. And one of the blankets is like this nude of me, Bridget, and Kendra in this like really suggestive pose that we thought was funny, like at the time we were shooting it, but it's just funny to have that on a blanket. But when you're in that bubble, you just think it's so normal. But then you look at it from after living in the real world for a while, you look at it with new eyes and you're like, that's a funny blanket. So the whole plot line of this show is we are getting snow brought to the mansion. And this was kind of a novel thing back then. Like now it's more common, like you see the Kardashians do it at their Christmas parties all the time. But back then it was really novel. I'd only ever seen like the snow brought to a house. Like one other time we went to a party that Nicolas Cage threw and he lived in LA, and it was the covered backyard, and then there was like snow all around it. So that was like the only time I'd seen it before this, but we're getting snow brought to the front yard of the mansion. And Bridget is saying we've been talking about having snow for a couple years now. And I'm sure we got the idea from the Nicolas Cage party, because Bridget's like party planner extreme. Like, she loves doing all that. And if we'd been bugging for a couple years by the time this was filmed, we definitely got the idea from that party. It's so funny because Bridget's reading this thing she finds online about the company that makes snow and delivers it to your house. And she goes, you can get all this snow and an igloo, what I've been wanting. Just sitting around wanting igloos. Life is good. I feel like there needs to be a horror movie where it's like Girls Next Door, but the werewolf doll in the random bassinet in Bridget's room like comes alive and slaughters people, because he's such a presence that rarely gets acknowledged. He was acknowledged once in the Girls Will Be Ghouls episode with Elvira when Bridget is showing Elvira her room, but I just think it's very loud that there's a random bassinet in Bridget's room. And in this scene, you can see that that wolf doll is in there, but he's very carefully like tucked in with the pink blankets. And I just think that's such an odd thing. Like, I love it, but I think it's an odd thing and it's just there and nobody talks about it. And I think in an alternate universe, there's like a horror movie plot where the wolf like slaughters everybody. Kendra's wrapping gifts and there's like a random picture of Jean Harlow on the floor, and I think that's probably a gift for me. And Kendra in her interview is wearing a shirt that says life of the party, and it's just like, it's crazy how graphic tees were just such a thing back then. Like, I think probably each of us had like 10 graphic tees that like applied to our personalities, and probably everybody alive in that time period did too, if you were wearing t-shirts at all. So it's showing Bridget and I are wrapping presents for a family that we kind of like adopted for Christmas. You know, when you like adopt somebody, like give them gifts. It was a family whose house burnt down in a fire and they lost everything. And they were kind enough to participate with us on the show. And they gave us a list and we went out and bought their gifts and stuff. And for some reason, Kendra didn't participate in it. I don't know why. And she was asked to be a part of it. Like, she was always asked. I forgot the mom had 8 kids. I'm wearing a sweatshirt with pearls. I'm not sure anything sums up my Girls Next Door era style than the nonsense that is a sweatshirt with pearls. Y2K, but make it classy. I don't know. Oh, showing the American Girl dolls I picked out for the girls in the family. And I love American Girl dolls. I still do. My daughter has so many of them. It's ridiculous because I grew up loving them. I had Samantha. I just love all the American Girl doll accessories, like the tiny foods. So cute. And I love the historic ones. Like, the modern day ones are okay, but I love the ones that are from like a certain era. By the way, I see in my comment sections, people are like, it's era, not era, or era, not era. I don't even remember which way I say it, but I think either way is acceptable. Tomato, tomato. I don't even know if the American Girl doll was something that was listed on the list of what they wanted. I don't think it was. I think it was something like I piled on in addition to their list, just because like I love buying American Girl dolls. Oh my gosh, Mondo, who wore the Santa outfit. I love seeing staff who I haven't seen in like years. And he was such a good sport. He dressed up as Santa to deliver the toys. And I always say like the staff were such great sports on this show, because I don't think they got paid anything extra. It was just kind of like added on as like, well, this is part of the job. But there were like a few key people that really did such a great job participating. And then Bridget and I are like clapping as he's driving away. What? I guess it made sense at the time. They just showed an interview with Bridget. Let's see if I can rewind. I don't know if you can see it, but clearly this interview was done for a Valentine's episode that comes later in the year, because she's no longer like in front of her Christmas tree. She's like all pink, and you can see like the Valentine's Playboy bears behind her and the flowers and stuff like that. Oh my God, these kids are so cute. And I just wanted to say thanks too for like the family that participated, because everybody needs help sometimes and it's not their fault. Their house burned down, but sometimes you don't necessarily want to be like on TV getting help. I don't know. I just think like they're good sports too. And they were all so cute and just such a pleasure to have on the show. I'm like getting emotional. Like, that mom is like such a superwoman, because like having 8 kids, like I only have 2 kids and I have like so much help and just so much privilege. And just, I think anybody who has kids knows like how much time everything takes and how much work it can be, especially when they're little, and just, you know, how you want to make every moment count with them. And I just like can't imagine, you know, doing it with 8 kids and like your house burns down. I'm just like in awe of this woman in a way that I could never have been, not that I wasn't in awe of her back then, but like I could never have understood because I wasn't a mom. So excuse me while I get emotional. And then the family are clapping as Santa leaves. What's the theme with everybody clapping? I'm wearing tube socks as I usually did in this show, but I'm wearing one red one and one green one because I'm so Christmassy. Okay, we're not even halfway through the episode, so I could be wrong, but after that really emotional scene with the family, I'm already thinking, okay, I know what my favorite part of this episode is gonna be, but what's my negative takeaway gonna be? I don't think I'm even gonna have anything negative to say about this episode. But then it shows us walking over to the Playmate house to give the girls their presents, the girls who are living over there. And it shows the carpet in the dining room, and the carpet was just so gross. Like, why did we even have carpet over there? Like, hardwood floors are the way to go. And I don't know why the carpet was gross. I don't think anybody had dogs. I think it was just old carpet that came with the house, but it looks really bad. I mean, we're on TV. Like, I hope people don't think I'm harsh when I'm like criticizing like the parts of the mansion that weren't kept up or in disrepair, or even the house across the street. But it's like when you're presenting your house as like this ultimate palace and this ultimate destination, and it's going to be on TV, like have a little pride. Like, why was there carpet in the dining room? So showing the girls opening the gifts, and I give them a lot of my merch, like bobblehead dolls and tube socks and things like that. And I think I also got the girls like stuff from Victoria's Secret, because back then Victoria's Secret, they had their lingerie line, they had their pink line, which was like casual wear and casual lingerie. But they also sold like a lot of cute clothes and accessories too. And I don't think they do that anymore. Every once in a while, I'll still get a catalog. I don't see any clothes. In fact, I think this dress was from Victoria's Secret, and I liked it because it reminded me a lot of the dress Marilyn Monroe wore in Niagara. And growing up, my favorite toy was a set of Marilyn Monroe paper dolls. And this was one of the, not this, but a dress that was cut like this was one of the dresses in it. So I liked it. But I used to love like buying stuff from Victoria's Secret. So many of my outfits on the show were from Victoria's Secret. I used to buy a lot of gifts for girls from Victoria's Secret. It just reminded me like how different it was. I wish they still sold cute clothes. So it's showing the people bringing snow to the mansion. And first they set up bales of hay to be like the hills for the snow. And then they have this giant ice truck. And then they have this big like elephant trunk hose that just like sprays the snow everywhere. Bridget's candy pajamas are so cute. And then it shows the snow, and the staff is like having a snowball fight. And I say, I think the staff enjoyed the snow. The more people who can enjoy the snow, the better. And I know that was just one of the things that they asked me to say, or like the producer would be in another chair while they're filming me like, and do you think the staff enjoyed the snow? What do you think about that? But when I look at just the comment by itself, and I know I didn't mean it this way, but it comes off very let them eat cake. Like, the staff enjoyed the snow. The more people who can enjoy the snow, haha, the better. It's just, I know that's not how I meant it, but it kind of comes off that way. Like if I'm watching this through like a hater's eye. I feel like Kendra having family that lived really close. They lived in San Diego, as opposed to like Bridget's parents live way up in Northern California, like 8 or 9 hours away. Like my parents lived up in Oregon. I feel like having family close by kind of gave you an advantage a little bit, like a psychological advantage. Like they're closer, they can come visit more. Like the holidays seem more normal because like they came up for Christmas Eve to see Kendra, and Bridget and I didn't have that. And I feel like that kind of gives you a psychological advantage just to like know your family's close. You know what I mean? In that kind of environment. And another thing too is like we, as part of the whole girlfriend deal, we were required to spend Christmas at the mansion. We couldn't like go home and visit our families, which for me like wasn't a big deal because there always comes a time, you know, when you grow up. And I think I saw the whole situation as more of a relationship than the other girls did. So there comes a time when you grow up and you're spending Christmas with your significant other and not with like your parents anymore. So to me, it didn't seem that weird, but I know it was something that definitely bothered a lot of the girls over the years. And it was just kind of something that seemed a little odd. And definitely it's something like when you tell other people about that rule, people always react to it like, oh my God, you can go home and visit your family. And I think that got brushed over on the show and nobody really knew that was a rule or a thing, because when you watch this Christmas episode, you see Kendra's parents come up and visit on Christmas Eve. So it kind of seems like everybody gets to see their family on Christmas when really they don't. And that was never the way it was before. Like, I don't remember, like when I first moved in, there was a cast of like 6 other women. And then there was a whole other group of 6 other women before it was just me, Bridget, and Kendra. And I don't ever remember anybody's families coming up around Christmas before that. So that's just a subtle example of how, like, watching Girls Next Door, the situation seems a lot more favorable than it was in real life. Oh my God, there's a shot of Bridget and I standing at the dining room window looking out at the snow, and I didn't mean to do this, but like my boobs are pressed up against the glass and I'm wearing a velour tracksuit and it just looks so funny. I just remember when we were outside playing in the snow, the executive producer of the show was so enamored with the snow. He was just sitting in a folding chair like this, just like in heaven watching the whole thing. I think that was like his proud dad moment. I'm wearing my moon boots again, and I'm so happy that moon boots are back in style. I just got a new black pair. I really miss this turquoise blue terry cloth tracksuit I had. It looks cozy and the color's great. Oh, it's showing my dog Duke up in the window looking down at the snow. It was so cute because that particular set of windows in the vanity area, like my dogs would come up there and sit and you would like see them looking down. It was so cute. Oh my gosh, watching my fat little chihuahua go into the snow is so cute. They blurred out the snow penis. Like, why is a snow penis as sensitive as actual nudity? That's weird. So when Hef comes out and we show him the snowman we made that had a snow penis, he goes, haha, E is gonna love that. And I'm surprised they kept that in there because it was such like a breaking the fourth wall moment, and they usually weren't into that back then. Like, back in this era of reality TV, and especially with our executive producer, they wanted to pretend and insist that everything you saw on TV was 500,000, 100% real. So the Meta E reference, I'm surprised they left that in. Oh my God, it showed somebody, some friend of Hef's, trying to get on the inner tube and like slide down the snow, and he ate it. It was Chuck McCann. He was a character. Speaking of graphic tees, Bridget got a graphic tee that says Mrs. Clooney as a gift because George Clooney was her crush. And it's showing us at Christmas Eve dinner, and Christmas Eve and Christmas dinners were both big events at the mansion. Hef had all his friends over, and they would always take a big portrait. I forget which day it was, if it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but there would always be a big portrait of everyone sitting in the living room. And I remember in one of our earliest years, Bridget and I took the photo and we like quizzed each other, like, do you know everyone's names? Because some of them were closer friends of his than others, and they would come up regularly, and some of them would come up kind of rarely. And we needed to know everybody's names. So that's how we learned. So then it shows us opening presents, and opening presents on camera is awkward. It really is. I don't know why. It's just, you want to like show appreciation for each gift. You don't know what you're going to open. You want to have like a good reaction to it. So the present thing at the mansion was kind of amazing. Like, my first year there, I was just blown away by how many presents we got, and I just felt so lucky. And we would be given like a certain amount of money to buy gifts for the other girls. And at the time there were 7, so you'd be given a certain amount of money and you'd have to like divide that by 6 and buy the same thing for each girl. I remember it was like that the first year I was there, but when the cast of characters changed around, I don't remember if it was like that. I don't think Christmas was quite as elaborate. And I remember the other girls, the ones I didn't get along with, were really like unhappy because they knew what the Christmas gifts were before like my first year there. And then they didn't get like that same quality of gift. And I remember one year, one of them called me when I was like at Disneyland with my friend during the day. And she was like, yeah, we really need to like ask Hef for better gifts, because I really would like a nice coat or a designer bag. Like, I don't want just like random knickknacks or whatever, which like is fair, but like that was not my priority at the time. Not to say I didn't enjoy the material aspects of the situation at all, but like I was dealing with a lot of other stuff, like emotionally and mentally, and the last thing I want to do is like bug Hef and whine about how the Christmas presents aren't good enough. So yeah, that was like part of the reason I didn't get along with a lot of the other girls, is I think they hated me because they thought like as the main girlfriend, I was supposed to like hustle more and like get them more money and like be their negotiator. And I was like, that wasn't part of the job description I was giving, and I wouldn't be good at that anyway. So takeaways. My favorite thing about the episode, there were so many things I liked because I just love Christmas. I love just having like this documentation, this kind of video scrapbook of my whole Christmas experience. Everything from the Christmas tree I decorated, to the Disney village, to the gingerbread house, to all the things. Like, I'm just really grateful to have that all documented. I love looking back at like the dogs in the snow, seeing Bridget's room at Christmas, like all those things. But of course, my favorite part was seeing the family who we shared gifts with, and just that was so touching. And it was way more touching than I ever thought it would be. Like, I remember that was in this episode, but I just wasn't prepared to be as emotional about it as I was, because I just can't imagine having 8 kids. I was gonna say 6 kids. I can't imagine having 8 kids and losing everything in a fire, and just to be able to make their Christmas a little bit more special. It felt good then, but it feels even better now. And I hope that that was somewhat memorable for them. And I hope that made life a little bit easier for that mother, who is an absolute superwoman. I'm getting emotional again. As far as negative things, I don't really have anything negative to say about this episode. Surprisingly, this might be the first one. I would pick on the carpet at the house across the street. I just feel like if you know cameras are coming in to film your home, and you're supposed to be, or you fancy yourself as like this, you know, representation of like the upscale men's lifestyle, like replace that nasty carpet or put down a hardwood floor or something. Like, that would have been like a penny in the bucket for him. So that was a little weird, is the gross carpet. But yeah, overall, I loved the episode. It was definitely a moment in time and a great like visual scrapbook of, you know, my Christmases during that time in my life. So I will see you guys next week with another reaction video. I don't know what next week's is. I think it might be the Star Wars episode. So I'll see you then. Bye.